Hashem Yahawashi, Bahashem, Rakah Kadash, all praise, honor, and glory go to the Most High Yahweh in the name of His Son Yahawashi. And I'm hitting you with from the book of Revelation 2 and 20. I wanted to go into this woman Jezebel, because in the scriptures it talks about the woman Jezebel in 2 Kings, about her being the wife of Ahab. She was a Hamite woman, and she pretty much just had all control of Ahab. And I wanted to touch on basis how we can connect that with this so-called beast system, and also just how some of our men love to please women to the point where they'll give up themselves. The scripture starts and it says in verse 20, "Notwithstanding, I have a few things against thee, because thou sufferest that woman Jezebel, which called herself a prophetess, to teach and seduce my servants to commit fornication and to eat things sacrificed unto idols." And when you go over to the blue letter, it gives you the understanding of what a Jezebel is. It's G2403, and it's the Greek word Jezebel, and it says chaste. It says wife of Ahab, an impious and cruel queen who protected idolatry and persecuted the prophets. And we're going to go into how she actually had her own prophets and she killed the prophets of the Lord. It says the symbolic name of a woman who pretended to be a prophetess and addicted to antinomianism, claimed Christian liberty of eating things sacrificed to idols. But then when you go into the Hebrew version of it, it's the word is Isabel, and it says Baal exalts. Baal is husband, unchaste. It says the queen of Israel, wife of Ahab, daughter of Eshtabal. He was a Hamite. Go deeper into the word Slakia. It's H2083, which is a bull, and it says exalted. So these are the ones that exalt themselves, the women that exalt themselves. But more so, just the spiritual wise understanding is how Babylon exalts itself, America. It says exalted, residence, elevation, lofty, abode, height, habitation. And this land of America loves to exalt itself above all the other nations, so much so that they'll take other nations' land. They'll put their people into a captivity. They'll put them in subjection, and then they'll also take their heritage and say that they're them. And we know that because those gutter rats over there in Israel are doing that amongst other places across the world. Throughout all these nations, you always have a Amalekite, which is the small hat, in charge of their nation. Salaki, I know I'm in the LSB, but if you go back to looking up Jezebel, it'll bring you to the stories of Jezebel. And it starts in 1 Kings 16 and 31, when it says, "And it came to pass, as it had been a light thing for him to walk in the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, that he took to wife Jezebel, the son of Ethelbal, king of the Zidonians, and went and served Baal and worshipped him." And that's the plight of our people, especially these Israelites that know they're Israelites, that have camp heads, that know that they are have some sort of power over the people. Well, the people they're trying to please the most is the women, because if you look at their comment boards and you look at their flock, it's mostly women. And no woman can get you into the kingdom of heaven, only the man can. So while you're trying to please the woman, you must be under a spell. You must be under some kind of a potion that the so-called white man nation of Edom has placed on you with his witchcraft. 1 Kings 18:4 says, "For it was so, when Jezebel cut off the prophets of Yahweh, that Obadiah took 100 prophets and hid them by 50 in a cave and fed them with bread and water." And then it goes on and says, "Was it not told, my Lord," this is verse 13 of 1 Kings 18, "what I did when Jezebel slew the prophets of Yahweh, how I hid 100 men of the Lord's prophets by 50 in a cave and fed them with bread and water?" So she was a slayer, and she wanted to take out the men of the Lord. And that's how Babylon is right now. America, they're doing whatever they can to try to uh, single out who the prophets truly are. Now they know through the videos and they know through the street preaching, but they don't know exactly all the prophets and all the Israelites. So what they're doing right now is they're just taking out first the northern kingdom, because a lot of them look like them. They're making sure that they have their so-called papers, or they're going to be deported. And then the next thing you know, it's going to be on the southern tribe, the tribe of Judah, the so-called African Americans, Haitians, and West Indians, Jamaicans. But right now the focus is on the northern kingdom. It says in Ahab in 1 King 19:1, and Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, and withal how he had slain all the prophets with the sword. And when he goes into the sword, it always brings up Esau, because he was the sword of the land of the Israelites. So he's using our women to take us down. In verse 2 it says, then Jezebel sent a messenger unto Elijah, saying, so let the gods do to me and more also, if I make not thy life as the life of the one of them by tomorrow about this time. So she was basically telling him, like, if I don't kill you, then I'm pretty much putting on myself as a curse to die. Which she actually ended up dying. Elijah let her know, we'll get into that as we keep on going, that you're gonna die, and then the dogs are gonna eat your body. It says in 1 Kings 21:5, but Jezebel's wife came to him and said unto him, why is thy spirit so sad that thou eatest now no bread? And that's how Esau Edom comes to our people. He comes like in that sense where he's caring about us. He really wants us to worry about how we're going to take care of ourselves, how we're going to eat. But in the back of his mind, he just has treachery like she had. All she had was just the mindset just to want to take over for her husband and be the so-called king, even though she was not even an Israelite. It says in verse 7, and Jezebel and his wife said unto him, dost thou now govern the kingdom of Yasharallah? Arise and eat bread, and if thy heart be merry, I will give thee the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite. And that goes into just how she wanted him to use his power to take over a different portion of the kingdom of Judah. And when she gave him that idea, he went forth with it. But at the end of the day, it was against her soul, because just as Yahweh was going to come back and slay the nation of Edom for us and make them subjection to us, the Israelites, she had to meet her fate in the end. Let's go over to in 1 Kings 21:15, it says, and it came to pass when Jezebel heard that Naboth was stoned and was dead, that Jezebel said to Ahab, arise, take possession of the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite, which he refused to give thee for money, for Naboth is not alive but dead. So he got set up to die, and she told her husband, now you can take over. And it's kind of like how some of these Israelite camps are, that who are looking for the likes and the money. They look for the ones that are disgruntled with this truth, the ones that may even be under a fold of the men of the Lord of Great Millstone, and they try to disrupt them with different mindsets to try to take over their flock so they can get more followers. And this is Elijah speaking about Jezebel in 1 Kings 21:23. It says, and of Jezebel also spake Yahweh, saying, the dog shall eat Jezebel by the wall of Jezreel. And that actually came to play. She was thrown down, and then she was eaten by the dogs. I'm going to show you that right here. Let's first go to this. This is how most of our women try to trick us as well, because they don't have the understanding of being in order or being subjected. It says, and when Jehu was in 2 Kings 9:30, says, and when Jehu was come to Jezreel, Jezebel heard of it, and she painted her face and tied her head and looked out of a window. And in verse 36 it says, wherefore they came again and told him, and he said, this is the word of Yahweh which he spake by his servant Elijah the Tishbite, saying, in the portion of Jezreel shall dogs eat the flesh of Jezebel, and the carcass of Jezebel shall be as dung upon the face of the field in the portion of Jezreel, so they should now say, this is Jezebel. And that's what ended up happening to her. She was thrown down from on top of her when she was looking out the window, and the dogs ended up eating her. So that's the understanding of who Jezebel is. Let's take it back to Revelation 2 and 20 and get some precepts on what Yahawashi was talking about in depth. So in verse 20 it says, notwithstanding, I have a few things against thee. It takes you over to Slakia. Verse 14, Revelation 2, it says, but I have a few things against thee, because thou hast there them that hold the doctrine of Balaam, who thought Balak to cast a stumbling block before the children of Yasharah, to eat things sacrificed unto idols, and to commit fornication. So it's always been a plot to get the Israelites to go off, to follow other idols, to eat abominable foods, but also just to really be a part of a system that's totally against their heritage. And that's what we are right now as a people. As a whole people, we're not even together completely, except through Yahawashi Mashiach and the Wakah Kadash. Only the men of the Lord that are doing this truth and sincerity and truth are allowed to join together, such as the northern tribe and the southern tribe. The others are caught up in their own idol worship. We go over to Jezebel, takes you all to the different points I already gave you. Well, when it goes over to commit fornication, it's going to take you over to Exodus 34 and 15. It says, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, they go a whoring after their gods and do sacrifice unto their gods, and one call thee, and thou eat of this sacrifice. And so, when you're living the ways of this American nightmare, you're gonna have to face the backlash of it all in the end. When you come over here, or you already established over here, and you just trust in the so-called white man, and you trust in his idols and his ways, doing his holidays, looking to get rich, looking to floss on your people, not helping out the poor, just different things that we have been taught to do over here. Just look out for our own selves. It's gonna all come into fruition when Yahawashi returns with his angels, and he pretty much gets us the 2/3 to be eaten by the dogs, which is really going to just be that thermonuclear fire that's going to come and burn up this land. Let's go over to the ESV, see if it gives us some more understanding. So it says to practice sexual immorality and to eat food as sacrifices. And sexual immorality is basically just when you're doing those weird acts sexually. Also when you're the sodomites and those that don't have any limits to what they do sexually, but more so just serving other gods more than the Lord. Putting those other things above Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Get it to me there. I'm just looking for different verses to correlate along with that. This is Acts 15 and 20. It says, instead we should write to them, tell them to abstain from food polluted by idols, from sexual immorality, from the meat of strangled animals, and from blood. And when you first come into the truth, you may not know all the different laws and different understandings that you're supposed to stay away from, but there's some basic things that we have to do. One thing is we have to change our diets. We can't be eating pork and the seafood and the abominable foods that the Most High said that we can't partake in. We have to trust in Yahweh that He's going to be able to take care of us by not eating that cheap stuff, or even some of it's expensive. They charge so much for lobster, but it's a straight abominable food. We have to make sure that we keep our mind straight on the Most High Yahweh and what He wants from us. We got to make sure that we're acknowledging the holy days more than these pagan days. We got to make sure that we're not giving in to the false idolatries of this world by continuing to vote, continue to stand up for rights here in America when we know that we're under punishment and judgment. We got to also turn over our powers over to the Most High Yahweh. look for power from the so-called white man to deliver us. But our people are starting to see it more and more, especially the northern tribes, because they're being tested more than they thought they would ever be tested in this land, when they thought it was the home of the free and the land of the brave. So it keeps going there. Talks about Exodus 14. Go to the home end. First Corinthians 12 and 20, it says, "No, but I do say that what they sacrifice to demons and not to Yahweh. I do not want you to participate with demons." And you know, if you're not putting all your trust and your faith in Yahawashi, you're pretty much following a demon. You know, you're following witches and witchcrafts and warlocks, the ones that the Most High baby says right here that He doesn't want you to participate and even have anything to do with them. Now we have to be in the world and be around these demons and be around those that follow those, but you're not supposed to bow down to these different demons that control these people and give into their ways. NET says Greek art has been translated here from demonstrated force. The woman goes into a bunch of dogma here. Goes into the same scriptures already read. By her teaching, which relates to the teaching of Babylon. More than just our women, and takes Acts 15:29. Let me just go here to the CSB and then I'll be out of here. So yeah, that's basically the point. We go over to verse 20. Sons, I gave her time to repent, but she should not want to repent of her sexual immorality. It said, look, I will throw her into a sick bed, and those who commit adultery with her into great affliction. And that's the those that go to bed with the in this beast system and in Babylon, they're gonna have to be burnt up with Babylon, because the only way to kill a witch is to burn her. The only way to kill a Jezebel is to have her eaten up by dogs. So, you know, that's what our people are headed towards. They continue to follow this beast system. And for those leaders that are continue to try to attract the women more than feed the flock, you're going to feel the pain too, and you're going to see that pretty soon all that is going to be crumbling down, and the real men of the Lord are going to stand firm. And you're going to know by the way Esau goes after them and tries to take them off the street corners and also try to take their videos down, while they continue to let you do your dogmatic ways and be out there preaching falsehood and then turn on you afterwards, because they just like they use Diddy, now they're against him. So I just wanted to bring that out as just a way, as just an understanding, as just a way to correlate Jezebel with Babylon, and how these leaders are trying to are controlled like Ahab by trying to gain the attraction of the women in these last days, when it's always about bringing the men of the Lord into this election, so that they can lead their families into the kingdom. So with that, just want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahawashi, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honors to all the apostles, elders, teachers, preachers, priests, bishops that came before me, taught me this truth, starting with the apostles and elders, great millstone. And shalom, peace be to you, to his holy elect, which I pray on the number of to next time, Yahweh willing.